Hey, how are you? I hope everyone is all good. Monday morning, up for work and sleep today. So the last few videos I've done have been to generally promote a slight calming down of your system if you're traumatized or if you're anxious or if you're stressed, as well as beginning to facilitate better sleep. So we'll talk about sleep itself today. It is said that if you have a regular bedtime, that's a good thing to do. For me, I don't tend to have a regular bedtime, even to this day. If I'm tired, I go to bed. If it's earlier than normal, that's fine. If it's later than normal, that's fine. But you can try have a regular bedtime. Have a set routine in the last hour or so before you go to bed. You're winding down. So you can tell yourself that whatever's gone on in your past is not happening in the here and now, because your system reacts as if it is still happening. That's how trauma works. Keep your bedroom, if you can, for bed. That's fine if you've got your own place. If you're lodging somewhere, it is a bit more difficult. But as much as you possibly can, keep that bed for sleep, or as much sleep as you can possibly get. General sleep websites will say about having blackout blinds and this, that and the other. Well, that has never worked for me, and certainly when I was traumatised, the last thing I wanted was to be in a completely dark room, waking from a nightmare. Not very good. I ended up sleeping with the light on. You can have a night light, you can sleep with the main light on. You can get music apps, white noise apps to help you sleep. And again, when you wake from a nightmare, if you're traumatized, you will. Having the light on, having that music will help ground you much quicker than if you wake up in the pitch black. And for instance, if your body is experiencing night paralysis, which is a normal part of the sleep cycle, waking from a nightmare in the pitch black with night paralysis and no music and no light on is not very nice. So whatever works for you, it might be that the pitch black works for you perfectly. If so, do it. If it doesn't, try something different. This is all about finding your own way. Many of the things that the general literature says that help people with trauma, many of them didn't actually work for me. I found my own ways through things. Okay. Maybe a regular bedtime doesn't work for me, but there you are, each to their own. It's said to have the room cooler than you normally would. Once again, if you like it warmer, have it warmer. Don't just do that because you've read it and then it's not working for you. Find what's going to work for you and what isn't. This is your journey, okay? The most difficult thing that you are going to struggle with is staying off this before bed and whilst you are awake in the night. This and my laptop were my go-to for many years. Even though I knew it was no good, I was still doing it. Reach for my phone as soon as I woke up. Again, a lot of the sleep sites will say don't have any gadgets in your room. Well, if you're using meditation apps or you've got music going in the background or white noise or whatever, or you need your alarm for work in the morning, it has to be in the room, doesn't it? But my recommendation would be to put it out of arm's reach so that you would physically have to get up off the bed in order to go towards it and pick it up and start doom scrolling, okay? It took me 6 years, and it wasn't until the second bout of therapy and me committing to my coach Lisa that's what I was going to do. And for about 14 months before that, I'd had Binti messaging me in the night, because he's on the other side of the planet, saying, why are you on social media? It's 3 a.m. where you are. You should be asleep. You shouldn't be on your gadget. They emit a light that your body interprets as daylight and then naturally produces lower levels of melatonin, one of the sleep hormones, so it makes getting back to sleep even more problematic than it already is, okay? But try and commit to do it, and then, because a lot of the times you won't even realise, it's an automatic response. It is an addiction. You'll pick it up and you'll be on it for half an hour and go, oh, I'm not meant to be on my phone. it takes work. But having people in your network that are prepared to call you out is a good thing. They're not having a go. They're just reminding you that you need to be doing more to help yourself. As I say, that was one of the most difficult things. It took me 6 years to nail that, and I stay off my phone in the night now. So don't have caffeine or alcohol before bed, anywhere near before you go to bed when you're traumatized. Many people do. I certainly did. But caffeine affects your sleep, alcohol affects your sleep. I spoke about those in a different video. Stay away from them, okay? When you're awake in the night, because you will be, okay, it's gonna take time. Don't get up and have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Stay off the caffeine. Don't go for a beer. You know, you're stressed, traumatized from a nightmare, and reach for a tinny or whatever. Don't do that. That's not something I actually did. It was after work and on the weekends was my self-medicating time. Have a drink of water if you must. So give it maybe 20 to 30 minutes of you actively trying to get back to sleep, meditating, grounding, breathing, relaxing, all the rest of it. If you still can't, get up, have some water, have a hippie tea like a peppermint tea or lemon and ginger or whatever takes your fancy. Stay away from the caffeine. It's not going to help you get back to sleep, okay? If you live on your own, encourage yourself to remember that your front door is locked. The place is secure, and you tell yourself that. Maybe, because your mind will be fried and there's a lot of stuff you don't remember, maybe write it down each day, whatever the day is, lock door at time of. So if you do happen to wake up in the night, I haven't locked the door, you've got that visual reminder that you actually did lock the door, because otherwise you'll be tempted to get up off the bed when you could have been trying to get back to sleep, okay? I had an occasion in late 2016, 2017 where I'd had a nightmare, and the person who I'd been with that led me to the point of developing the trauma stuff, in that nightmare they were in my flat, sat on the bed screaming at me. I woke up shouting, and I was convinced that they were actually inside, and I swept the flat 3 times. I checked under the bed. No one could get under there. It was full of boxes. Under sofas, in cupboards, behind doors. Checked that the front door was locked and double locked. I did all of that 3 times before I convinced myself that I was actually in there on my own. And then I couldn't get back to sleep. That was the end of my night's kip. Weighted blanket. If you live on your own, maybe an extra pillow. You know, anything that's going to help you. A fan. People say that a fan, like the feeling of air coming on their face, or even the noise of the blades, helps them with sleeping. And I know people that do this year round, and they're not traumatized. It's just something they do as part of their normal sleep routine. Do some form of relaxation, as I say, in the hour before bed. Not high intensity exercise. If you're a gamer, don't be going online gaming, high adrenaline stuff. Your body's got more than enough adrenaline and cortisol going through it. You don't need that before you go to sleep. Don't get involved in rows on social media. Don't watch mainstream media. There's loads more stuff that you can do to facilitate better sleep. Google it yourselves. Make it trauma specific, okay? Because as I've said, a lot of the general sleep stuff may well not work for you, as it didn't work for me. Try different things, test and adjust, and if something starts working, keep that, bring it into your routine, okay? And eventually, once you go for help and you're working with a coach or a therapist, you will start to see a big difference whilst you begin working with them. Prior to that, you will notice small differences, and any little win when you're experiencing trauma symptoms is a good thing, and you can learn to notice those, okay? If you're struggling, you must reach out. I'm off to work in a wee while. I did try this outside, but I forgot to charge my phone overnight, so there's not enough battery in it. Oops. Wonderful weekend down in Plymouth. I will be back in a month. I stayed with my friends Wiggy and Dot. Massive thank you to them for putting me up. I actually was staying with them up until 10 years ago when the trauma came in. So I didn't stay in the room that I was staying in while I was there this time. But a couple of times I did, even though it's 10 years later, I did go into what was my old room, which was a bit strange. Massive thank you to them. Cracking to catch up with numerous people down there. My youngest son Joe on Friday and his good lady. Chris Thrall on Saturday, he's just climbed Everest. My mate Anne, my mate Neil, who I went to rugby with last weekend, and a whole heap of other people that I caught up with that I've not seen on other occasions. So fantastic weekend. Looking forward to the working week and getting some money together for my next trip. So as I say, if you're struggling, reach out and be curious about the sleep stuff. If something works for you, keep doing it and keep it consistent. All right? Cheers.